I put my trust in you, and I trust in love. I put my trust in you, I put my trust in love. I put my trust in you, and I trust in love. I put my trust in you, I put my trust in love.
Hello friends, my name is Dave Miller.
And I'm Niall Spain, and we're your fuck buddies.
We are a dating and sex advice podcast where we take your sticky, sexy situations and we turn them into sexy, sticky situations.
Simply put, we're a sex and dating advice podcast that takes questions either we find, in the wild, roaming around the internet, or from our lovely listeners. We answer them on the topics of sex and dating. You ready to get into this?
Yeah, let's just fucking do it. Let's just get into it.
All right, I'm going to hit you with, I guess, the first one on my list, huh?
Sure.
This is Revolutionary Cap 967. Guy didn't know where things were. Is this lack of experience, not caring, laziness, or what? Seeing a guy and things eventually progress to physical. He's shy, introverted personality, not sure if that has anything to do with it. But when the moment came, no pun intended, in the bedroom, I was put off by the fact that he didn't know where things were. For reference, he is 34, male. He has had past partners, girlfriends, etc. when he was in long-term relationships with. So I'm very confused on how that worked out. He was rubbing an area absolutely nowhere near target site, rubbing corner where my leg connects to groin. He then asked if he was fingering the right hole. Sorry for being graphic. When I asked what he liked, he said, I don't know. Things didn't progress, but I was left very, very, very confused. I didn't want to pry, but I wondered what his sex life was like during the relationships. Can't imagine dating someone for over a year and not knowing what area you're touching, especially as a male above his 30s. I'm not trying to berate him. I just haven't come across this before and didn't know what to say or do other than, you're way off, and correct his hand placement, which when he'd go back was still off target. I don't want to make him self-conscious, but it was a bit of a turn-off. I can't tell if it's a lack of experience, him being selfish/lazy. I did manage to get him off, not through sex, in like 3 to 4 minutes, or what? Thoughts?
I mean, I don't know if it's being lazy because he was still doing something specific. Like he was still rubbing. If he was lazy, I imagine that the interaction would have just been like him trying to get a blowjob and then sex and then roll over and call it quits. For him to like be participating in foreplay, albeit very bad, poor foreplay. I don't know. So I don't think it's lazy. I think this is like, I don't know if it was like a sexless relationship or if it was very, just sort of like, oh, it is sex time. Now we put sex together and we don't worry about any of the other stuff. Like, I don't really know.
Yeah, like exactly what you said. We've seen enough examples of men being lazy, and it's not that they do the thing, but in a different place. It's just that they don't do the thing. They'll just be like, oh, I'm a guy, so I don't, like, they'll DJ Khaled it up and be like, I've got money. I don't need to touch a vagina.
Unless this is the tactic of like when your partner asks you to make the bed and you don't want to.
Such a bad job that they never ask you again.
Exactly. So you just tank it. So at no point in time will she ever be like, oh, let's do foreplay. Because it's like, no, I don't need my knees fingered.
Yeah, that's like one play. Yeah, I can't imagine it is. And there's a simple way to figure it out, right? If it is laziness or not caring, or lack of experience, you need to sit down and talk with him. And also, hey, let's point out the fact that he might have been lying about his previous relationships. Maybe he's a virgin who's ashamed of it because he's 34. So yeah, like maybe it was like a sexless relationship. Maybe it was long distance. Maybe it was like he was saving himself for marriage or she was saving herself for marriage. Or maybe they were asexual and the guy, well, a million things could have happened. So we haven't talked about it in a while. Communication. We never talk about that. It's great. I think it's finally time to bring it back into the podcast.
It's one of those things where, unfortunately, like if you like this person, there might be a lot of work ahead of you. There might be a lot of patience is going to be needed here to be like, just like, has he never watched porn? Like, I don't understand the question for me of, am I fingering the right hole while not touching a hole is confusing to me.
Well, I wonder, like, you know what? That was such a bizarre thing to read that I just, like, auto-corrected it in my head to, like, later on when he did find the hole. But, like, I guess they never specified.
Yeah,
maybe even the way there's, like, that little kind of, like, not like a pocket, but, like, a little indent between your leg and your groin.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Maybe he thinks that's the hole. And on that note, maybe we shouldn't fix anything until he tries to stick it in. Because if he just puts his dick in that divot, I need to hear about it.
Did you? They said they didn't have sex, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I think you do need to sit down and be like, hey, so we need to discuss, our sexual experience, because you are having a lot of questions. And if you need a guiding hand, I'm happy to do that. If you are willing to do that and kind of run him through. But I don't think that it's your job at 34 to teach people basic human anatomy.
Yeah.
And I just don't. And I know that sexual education has failed a lot of us. And I know that it's continuing to do so. And with the way that, education in at least North America, where people are reverting their sexual curriculums.
Yeah.
I know that maybe it'll get worse. But I still think there needs to be some sort of onus on a person to be like, if you don't know how sex works, if you are completely baffled by it, there are so many readily available resources to go to and at least start putting pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah. Now, I was going to suggest not bringing up his sexual experience or lack thereof, because I feel like that could upset somebody or make them go defensive or make them feel more insecure, and just focusing on, hey, imagine a world where that was exactly what his partner did like, you know what I mean? And you just come from a position of I'm not criticizing what you're doing, I'm telling you what I like. So when you're having these interactions, if he starts to just be like, hey, honestly, that doesn't really do it for me. If you could put your hand here, and just slowly building up in a positive way. And I think the conversation about sex and experience will probably happen, but in this way, you're not making the focus them being bad. It's them learning you.
I think I'm just so curious. I just need to know how this went so wrong so fast.
The thing is, I think that one could be great as well, because if you get down to it, if he's been lying about his previous relationships or knows that he's inexperienced and is positive and able to take that criticism, or not necessarily criticism, but take that on board, this could be a super positive situation where she admits that she's caught onto him. He goes, yes, here's this thing, and they work together. But I think we know where most people's egos are at with regards to sex and insecurity. I think it's probably likely it gets volatile.
Yeah.
But I think either route is good. Maybe in the moment, don't talk about inexperience, and out of the moment, do. Whereas if someone's trying to get down and dirty with you and you're like, wow, you really suck, that's not great. But if you're like, hey, I like this, then you're not talking about them, you're making it about you, which I think is positive.
Do think that you are 100% within your right if you don't want to have to teach someone the ins and outs of sex.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're a grown adult and they don't know where a vagina is, then I think there is something fundamentally wrong. And I think that is a kind of an exhausting thing to go through, of being you must know that it's not on the side of my leg, because presumably I would have two, right? There'd be one on either side of me. And that's not right. Right? I don't know. It's just a snowball effect of being I can't I don't know where you've been living that you aren't sure where a vagina is located.
Mm-hmm. And I also think as a partner, it's fair for you to want honesty from someone as well. So it's if you're going to engage in sex with someone that's they've been lying about their past with regards to it, that's not wonderful either on you. So
yeah, I mean, I also think a valid answer to this question is ending it with them and being hey, you have a lot of work to do. You have a lot of questions that you don't, a lot of basic anatomy stuff that you don't know how it works. And that is something that you're going to have to kind of figure out. And I'm not really willing to be your anatomically correct model that you can poke and prod and try to figure out how this all works, unfortunately. Because you are also a human being with sexual desires and needs. And you know what I mean? You're not that plastic model that you can pull apart in the hospital or the sex clinic or whatever to sort of really figure out the inner workings. It's no, you're not that. You're a person. So I think there is, it is a valid answer to be hey, sorry, you got a lot of work to do. And
Mhm.
maybe you sort of like be like, don't turn to porn because that's not going to be the thing. But like,
But hey,
know,
maybe turn to it a little bit because you have no idea.
Just a basic of like where things go.
Yeah.
Maybe find some of the feminist centric porn that is, you know, consent focused and not about, you know, objectification and you know, using women as sexual objects, and is a little more sensual and you know, a cohesive sexual experience. But like, again, just like there's so many resources available
Mhm.
that you aren't required to be this 34-year-old man's like
Teacher.
biology teacher.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of how this question shakes out, like we've given you a few kind of things. It all really depends on what you feel and what they feel, right? Because you might not be arsed, right? You might just be like, okay, not any effort, whatever. Like if it was good, it was good, but like with this additional shit, it's not worth it. Or you might think this person is absolutely fucking wonderful, and the thought of spending a little bit more time and effort and attention and, you know, helping them along this journey is something you're willing to do. That's great. It then also matters whether this person is able to learn and admit their shortcomings in a positive way, or whether they're just going to be an insecure little piece of shit. I think those all matter, and I think we've given you kind of like the building blocks to pick a route, and I think they're all valid, but it really just nails down to what you want to do and what they want to do.
And I will say, we're you know, Sex and Dating Advice podcast. We believe in an education, and you know, I'm not saying that this person is so far gone, or that if you're listening and you're 34 and you're not super aware of things, I'm not saying that you are a lost cause, but I'm just saying that you have to take responsibility and have a little bit of, you know, the onus is on you at this point to sort it out, and not on your partner to teach you. So
I
if
think in general, honestly, it's like,
yeah,
if they want to, great. But like your sexual development, you know, and that's, hey, it's part of the reason why we do this podcast, so that people have a resource to hopefully grow and build from. But it's like, the point Dane's making is it's not someone else's responsibility.
Especially with something as like fumbling as like, is this the right hole? Like,
Yeah.
what I like chances are you don't have your hand or your finger up a urethra. And I would really hope you could tell the difference between a vagina and an anus, you know? So it's like, that kind of question is shocking to me, because I don't know what could you possibly be getting confused here?
Yeah.
I just don't know. So I think like I said, if you are someone who you think are too old to not know these things, that's fine. Don't get insecure. Don't freak out. There's plenty of resources. Look up literally an anatomical model, or, you know what I mean? Like, look up, how does sex work? I'm sure you could find plenty of things that will show you where the clitoris is, where the vaginal opening is. And, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you can find pretty cohesive guides on how to finger and fingering
Weren't Pornhub
techniques.
actually doing like sexual education videos back when like they were under fire in America?
I'm almost positive they have several resources. I would have to go and look, so I can't guarantee right now, but I'll you know, take a look for our next episode, I guess. But they also used to have like a sex position trainer where they would they had like videos, and then they also had like a really fun thing where it was like almost like a roulette of being like, how long do you want to spend in a position? And then it would you would put it up on the screen, and you every 2 minutes it would show you a transitionable position to go to from where you are. And it was, you know, meant to be like a fun game you could play with your sexual partners. But yes, I think there were also I think it was porn stars and just sexual educators who are being here are the here are fingering techniques, here are oral techniques, here are sort of the things that you should be looking for, here are things that you could be doing, here are safe ways. They a whole BDSM course as well. But you don't have to turn to porn. I promise you, Tickle.life, a partner that we've been working with for years, I'm sure I can almost guarantee you has if not one, but many articles on fingering etiquette, fingering techniques, how to do it safely, how to do it cleanly, how to do it, respectfully, all those things. And it's it's your job now. You're an adult. Take some responsibility. Go out and teach yourself. Seek out things, and not just sit there and be posting on Reddit or whatever and being like, oh, look, I'm a 34-year-old and no one will let me like just poke and prod around down in their, lady bits so I can figure it out. How am I supposed to learn? It's like, there's ways.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. So if you feel like you are not at the top of your game in terms of like knowledge or experience, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. You can do so much by yourself without anybody ever knowing. You can look up stuff to read. You can look up stuff to watch. There's every resource imaginable. You just need to put in the effort. If someone wants to help you, great. It's never the onus shouldn't be on them. Do what you can by yourself and you will reap dividends. Like this person would presumably have been very happy if this guy was even slightly capable. Mm-hmm. Because even now it's not like, fuck this guy, I'm never coming back. It's I'm confused, right?
Yeah.
So put in the work.
Yeah. And like, I also don't want what we're saying here to discourage people from checking in with their partner to make sure that what they're doing is enjoyable or, letting your partner know what is and isn't working. Like all those things are great and key parts of having a healthy and satisfying sexual relationship. So if you see that your partner isn't really reacting to something you're doing, there's no harm in being like, does that feel good? Do you want me to go harder or softer, deeper, faster, slower? Like, there's no problem with checking in with your partner like that. Mm-hmm. But if the question is this right? Like, am I in the right spot? Like, is this the hole I should be in? I think you need to, get a little bit more foundation in terms of information to
honestly think that, like, this person, and like, hey, the good thing is that they do care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that energy, great. This means that this person, if they put the steps in, I'm sure will be a wonderful partner. But yeah, that is definitely a way off target, much like his hand.
Yeah.
All right, hit me.
This is, I don't have the user. This is from someone. He insists on finishing inside me. My boyfriend, 33-year-old male, prefers to ejaculate inside me, 28-year-old female. I told him I don't prefer this because I plan to stop birth control and it throws my pH balance off for days. For me, it's very intimate. Something I prefer to do when married, especially since he is not ready to start a family. He argued that he prefers to finish inside me because it allows us to connect and feels better for him, and that I should stay on birth control with a patch. So I told him I would like for him to provide for me financially, and as a woman, that's a way that a man can connect with me. He paused and said it's something that's reserved for his wife. Please make it make sense. Why am I expected to give him full access to my body when he can withhold his finances for his wife?
Have we done this question before?
I don't think so.
I think we've done this exact question before.
Maybe I did this one? It's been on my list for a while.
I feel like I brought it, though.
Maybe.
But you know what? Hey, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's do it again.
Yeah,
see if the fans know this.
We'll get like maybe completely different advice as we're
and you know what?
Older and wiser now.
You're his sperm slave and he's your money slave. We've done it. Next question.
Yeah. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. And let me tell you, he ejaculates quite a bit. If he's, the average person. So that's a lot of money you're getting per ejaculate.
Yeah. Like cent per sperm?
Oh, I'm thinking dollar per sperm.
Nah, man, that's
bankrupt this man.
In one cummage?
Yeah.
Look, he's being a dick. Let's start with that. The fact that he wants you to stay on birth control, a thing you want to come off of just so he can feel a little better when he comes, that's shit. That's not the thing a good partner does. Your body, your choice. If you want to do a thing, you should do it. Your partner should be supportive of that. Especially, like there's a different, I don't know, like there are varying degrees, but like birth control is not a fun thing to take for a lot of people and can have a bunch of different side effects. The pH balance thing alone, like these are all very valid reasons to not have this happen. And it's just, this person sucks for wanting to take your freedom away just to feel a little better of a cum,
But like, the thing is, you're already coming, right? So coming inside someone, like if that's the feeling that makes it feel better, you could do that with a condom on.
Yeah.
If you just want to be inside of them while you ejaculate, that's something you can do with a condom. And presumably they're not using it or using condoms
Yeah, and I understand condoms reduce sensitivity a little bit, but
he's coming.
Yeah.
Right? So like the sensitivity thing doesn't really matter anymore because the man is like if it one thing, if like, oh, I can't finish, like if it was a condom thing, then like, we can discuss why that's bullshit anyway. But like, if he's just like, oh, when I come, which presumably you would be able to do wearing a condom, I don't like, short of being like, oh, the second I start coming, she runs across the room and I have to kind of like just come with no more sensation being provided. Like, okay, but that's not what happening.
I understand. Like, again, I don't want to support anything he's saying because it makes me sound like I'm anyway on his side. It's like you have more sensitivity when you're not wearing a condom, and like while you're coming, it is the best part, right? That's like the whole ruined orgasm thing where like you'll jack someone off to just about, or like when they start coming and then leave it. You know, like while you're coming, that is a very important time. So it's like if you continue to come doing what you were doing with no condom on, it's going to feel that little bit better than if you were doing it with a condom on. To the same degree that having sex with no condom feels better than having one with a condom. Does it matter? No. Does it matter to the point where you should be dictating what somebody takes, like in a medical sense? No, not at all. And on top of this, it worries me that this person seems to think if they go off birth control and he continues to hit it raw but just pulls out, that things are going to be fine. That's also not okay. If you're not ready to have a family, you need to practice safe sex, and the pull-out method is not safe sex.
Well, let's talk about it just in general of being like, if you're not ready to start a family, don't ejaculate inside someone at all, regardless of what birth control.
They're relying on birth control, which at least is, a form of safe sex. But yes, you're not being as safe as you can. But if you go off birth control, the pull-off method is far worse. So,
well, especially if you still want to come inside them.
Oh, well, that's absolute insanity. That is off the table. I'm not even considering that one. But it sounds to me like the woman in this question, if went off birth control, would be okay with that being it just kind of sounds like she's like, oh, I want that to happen, but he's insisting I stay on it. And it's like, no, that also isn't a good thing.
Yeah, no, but like, okay, we can both acknowledge that this guy's in the wrong for sure. Yes. Of being like, but her, and then like, I don't know if this is something she truly believes or if this was just sort of her trying to prove a point of being like, well, then you have to pay for everything. If that's what like men and women do, then okay, great, you can come inside me, but you have to pay for everything. Just to get him being like, well, actually, no, I'm reserving that for a wife. If I don't know if this is something she actually believes or if this is something that she was just trying to like prove a point with.
I imagine it was trying to prove a point. It just seems really weird to me, like to equate monetary support with ejaculating inside somebody and to have one be a man thing and one be a woman thing. Like the whole thing is toxic and shitty, to be like, oh, I reserved that for my wife or my husband. Like I hate the whole thing.
Yeah.
Be better to each other. Don't try to control someone's body, especially not just so you can feel a little bit better when you jizz. Like, fuck that. Have safe sex, especially if you're not ready for a fucking family.
That blows my mind of being like, hey, I don't want to have kids at all, but I am going to repeatedly ejaculate inside you. And exclusively, this is how I'm going to finish. It's like, birth control is great, but if you're not ready to have a kid, you should not be ejaculating inside anyone, regardless of what. I mean, condoms aside, but like, if you're not using a condom, you shouldn't be ejaculating in anyone. If
a condom breaks, it's pretty easy to tell. But like birth control can be affected by so many things like diarrhea and like charcoal tablets and certain medications. And, there's a lot that goes into it, even aside from the fact that it's not 100% effective because nothing really is.
Yeah.
Whereas at least like if a condom breaks, to go get plan B, but it's hard to tell if that dodgy thing you ate earlier made it so ineffective that this one will slip past the goalie.
I think we can agree. This guy doesn't have any right to tell you whether you can go on or off birth control. If you do choose to go off it, then you also get to decide what kind of contraception you would like to use in order to continue having sex. If he doesn't respect that, then it's time to move on. It is that simple.
Mm-hmm. This is by Maker of Poor Decision. Got the ick. How do I proceed? Sorry about my formatting. It's my first post I'm on mobile. Secondly, feel free to judge me because I know I deserve it, lol. I recently broke up with my partner of 2 years and pretty much immediately clicked with a coworker of mine. We became friends first, and then our relationship became flirtatious. Long story short, we moved way fast, way quick. He wants me to meet his family, which isn't a big deal. I really like the guy. Problem is, and I'm a shit person for it, I got the ick tonight. We were having sex, not the first time, and I guess now he's tapping into his more dominant side, because I think he tried to be intense, but overdid it, as when I looked up at him, he was staring down at me, like boring into my soul, with the most psychopathic face I've ever seen, and I can't ever look at him the same. I guess my questions are, am I a douche for wanting to end it? Would it be acceptable to just tell him I'm not ready to date yet? It's not long since me and my partner separated, and he knows that. Any advice, criticism, etc. is welcome.
I've never heard the phrase the ick.
It's a new thing.
I guess
it's
that
an
like
epidemic.
is it like oh no, I don't really like this person? Like
It's
the
basically
realization.
Yeah, it's what happens when like one thing, generally something very minor or small, just kills a person for you, like attractive
Okay.
wise.
I mean, I get it. I understand that those exist. I'm worried that it'll become a catch-all excuse for everything, but we'll see how it pans out.
It's funny because like all the ones I've heard seem to be like really bizarre. I saw him, squeeze a ketchup packet onto the plate and like a little bit got in his finger and he licked it off and I got the ick. I can never see him again. It's like, okay, that's like, it never seems to be like, oh, he abused our wait staff while we went to a restaurant. I got the ick. It's like, no, that's good. That's fine.
This one, however, I kind of get if if the man makes a demented face while he's having sex with you, I 100% understand you not being able to vibe with that person anymore. It would be the same way as like if I was sleeping with someone, they were kind of like, holding it together pretty well. And then one night they were just like, oh, I'm a screamer actually. And I'm just going to start screaming in the like really obnoxious nonstop. The only thing I think about is the noise complaint I'm going to get.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you really be like, this happened once, I'm not talking to you about it, I can never see you the same way, goodbye?
It depends on the face.
I wish we could just like mind link sometimes with some people we get questions off. And a lot of the times, I'm sure that would be awful. But like, even just to get like a snapshot and be like, because again, you're right. It depends on the face. If we had the face right here.
I'm thinking like, have you ever seen that? It's the meme of the guy who kind of looks like young Shia LaBeouf and he's like holding his breath or something.
Oh yeah. With the like vein in his forehead.
like if it was that. Like if that's the fucking face he's making with like, bloodshot crazy eyes and veins bulging and like he's all red and like.
See, then I'd be like, are you okay? Is something happening this one time? I wouldn't just assume, damn it, he's finally letting his true colors shine and like this is the thing he wants to do. Like dominant side, he just stares at you. Like that's, I don't know. It seems like a little, not my worry, but my, I have an inkling. And I'm wondering if they are not ready for where it's at and they're looking for something to take them out of it. Because they go on a little bit of a tangent talking about how you went way too quick and now you're seeing the family and they're just out of a relationship. And it's like, none of those things really have to do with this question unless you're hinting almost to yourself maybe that plays into it.
Yeah, I think no matter what the like real answer is or like what's actually happening, that's the answer of being like, you are, as Nell said, you moved into something too fast and now you're actively hunting for the ick, or you have found the ick and if you need a way to sort of like get out of here without causing too much trouble, you could just say, oh, hey, look, I didn't really take time to process my breakup. So as much as I like you, I feel like I've rushed into things with you a little too much and I need to take a step back, take some time to process my breakup, to figure out, how I'm feeling, how I want to move forward. And then, if things work out, I would love to pick this back up. But at this point in time, I do need to take a break and take a step back from all this because, I need a second to process. And that I think is a very diplomatic, understandable way to end this without hurting his feelings, without being like, hey, your weird sex face makes me uncomfortable.
Now, we did already, prove that was a false excuse. Remember? So she's basically just saying he sucks.
It's true. Yeah. Dating or saying you're not ready to date just means they're not ready to date you.
Yeah, because you're terrible. No, I think it's like what Dane says. You have the perfect excuse locked and loaded. And honestly, I think it's probably the way forward anyway, because like you have moved pretty quickly. You're like showing all the trademarks of a rebound. And it's like, hey, maybe the time will make you realize that the ick wasn't there and things are moving too fast and you do want to pursue this person, or it'll give you the time to clarify why you felt the ick so strongly, which is probably because you got right back into it. Or maybe you'll end up missing that very intense face and no one else will do it for you.
Yeah. So I think you have, like Niall said, you have the perfect excuse to get out of here. I would also say it's like Nell said, the rebound thing is a very strong thing. So like take some time to process anyway. That's a very healthy suggestion regardless of what this is. Even if you do want to take like a quick break from them and do want to get back to them, if you don't want to get back to them, that's also fine. But make sure that one, if you are going to pursue other relationships, whether they're sexual or whatnot, that you are ready to be with new people, even if it is in a casual sense, because it sucks to like, because you're not fully acclimatized to being single again, that you are just kind of like getting people's hopes up or leading them on or, getting into these like really intense relationships and then just being like, nope, at the first sign of,
Anything.
a couple veins on someone's forehead during sex.
Mm-hmm. And again, you don't really need to mention their face when you break up with them, but depending on the face they did make.
Yeah, if it's, I don't know, man. I feel like if it's a real crazy face, that's kind of something you don't want to trigger that crazy face outside of sex.
Yeah. What do you think it was like Morbius face?
I fucking hope so.
Actually, no. Obviously, that would be too erotic and not weird.
Yeah, no. If it was Morbius face, then obviously this would not be a question.
The question would be, we're going pretty fast. How do I go faster?
Question is, my partner's Morbius face makes me come too hard. Okay,
It's your go, I believe.
It is my go.
You think we'd remember being here twice? Okay.
My 23-year-old male girlfriend, 26-year-old female, accuses me of still years ago having feelings for my passed away ex. I used to have a really good friend back in middle school, and we started dating in high school. She unfortunately suffered from depression, and despite my best efforts to help her, she ultimately intentionally overdosed on pills and killed herself. I blamed myself for a long time, and will never really get over her death, but therapy did help me think clearly. A year ago, I met my current girlfriend, who I thought was sweet and lovely. However, I worry our relationship could be over after last night. We were watching a horror movie last night called Countdown. However, near the end, where the lead sacrificed herself to beat the demon by overdosing herself with a drug, I couldn't take it anymore. The scene reminded me too much of how my previous girlfriend died and insisted she turn it off. As I was sobbing hysterically, she kept telling me it was just a movie and that the lead survived. She read the plot online, apparently. She then accused me of still having feelings for my ex and to get over her. When I tried to remind her that that was how my ex died and couldn't handle scenes like that, she insisted I'm doomed unless I can recognize she's in the past and that she doesn't want to talk to me. How do I convince her that I still love her?
Oh man, that's not, I think, where this question should be going.
Right?
That's a horrible thing. Like, look, I can understand people being jealous, right? Jealous is not a rational emotion. Being jealous of the dead is a weird one, but we see it more than once on this podcast. And in general, is it also rational? Not at all. This person, though, took those feelings and decided to abuse you while you were like suffering through something pretty horrible. And that's not okay for a partner or anybody, really. I don't think the question should be, how can you show your girlfriend that you love her? It should be, how do I break up with my girlfriend and move on to someone who's better? Or how do I explain to my partner that what they did is wrong and hopefully they will get better and we'll move on from there? Because when you're going through something that traumatic, having gone through something just impossibly traumatic, the last thing you need is somebody getting jealous and upset and abusing you while you're in that episode. Like, that's fucked.
Yeah, the onus isn't on you to make this situation right. You have done nothing wrong. You had a traumatic experience when you were young. You're 23 and you were dating them in high school. So presumably this happened probably when you were still a teenager.
Yeah, and you're still young, you know?
Yeah. So like you had a traumatic event when you were young and you understandably have a trigger. And it is a very specific and very, like, it's not like, oh, anytime you see medication, you freak out. You watch someone essentially reenact the way that someone you cared deeply about died. And if someone can't understand why that would be upsetting for you, and that it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with leftover feelings, but rather reliving a traumatic experience, then I don't think that that person can really cares about you. Like, it is I would imagine, a very, very easy empathetic exercise to look at someone who's literally just essentially rewatched a dramatic reenactment of the death of someone important to them and be like, I understand. But at no point in time does it seem like your partner did that. It seems like they were just like, immediately went to, I'm thinking about me now.
Yeah.
This is bad for me.
You do have emotions about this person, and you do have emotions about this situation. So it's like, aside from the fact that it's a traumatic event, it's like you're allowed to have emotions and feelings and all these unresolved things for this person. It's not like when somebody dies, you're just like, oh, that's it. It's all gone.
Well, I was going to
You know what
say,
I mean?
when you mentioned that, like, oh, jealousy isn't, a rational emotion, and how we've seen it with people, it's like, I feel like jealousy of like people who have died, like I understand that more than jealousy of people who are living, because when someone died, like you had no control over that, right? Like it's not like you guys had a big fight or broke up and should hate each other. It's like you loved her and then she died. It's not like you stopped loving her, you know what I mean? So like I understand, like from her point of, like from her stance, or like anyone's stance who's dealing with someone who lost a partner, I understand that there is that sort of like shadow or cloud hanging over your head of being like, well, they never stopped loving them. It is just by circumstance that it ended. So like I get it, but that doesn't
but at
mean
the
you
same
get to be
time,
shit.
they're also dead and are not in the picture. So
For sure.
Irrational. And I could understand it more if it was like, hey, I have a partner, and everything we do, they're like, I wish Dave was here. I wish, your dick was as big as Dave's. I wish, hey, let's name our 4 children Dave. Because again, we've seen shit like that where, like, whether it be a past relationship or a dead partner, like they perpetuate in this unhealthy way. But this is like the most understandable thing, and to not be understood, and let alone that, like, be abused. Like it's absolutely awful. You need to figure this out one way or another. And I think the figuring out is either in the form of you break up with them and you find someone who is kinder, or you really sit them down and hammer home the fact that they are utterly in the wrong, and that you need somebody who can empathize and, support, because they did neither of those things.
Yeah, if this doesn't end in an apology from them, I would strongly recommend that you move on, because I can't imagine sitting with my partner while they're like a sobbing mess and being like, you need to get over it. You need to get over this like ingrained trauma that really fucked you up that you had to go to therapy for. Just get over it.
Yeah, but like, even if you were next to your partner having a breakdown or like sobbing uncontrollably about like anything, even if it was like less serious than this very understandable, very real thing, I think you'd be garbage. I think I would find it very hard to ignore their pain and focus on myself. And like I brought up earlier, like the possibility of talking to your partner, just because I don't know where this, question asker is with regards to them. I think for me, I would be out of there instantly. I think this is a pretty shitty thing to do. And I think you're well within your right to do it. But like, I think, as you said, there are kind of only 2 ways this can go down, and that's you leave or you get a very sincere apology off them. And even then, it's like, if you have the conversation and they don't very sincerely apologize, I think you have to leave, because you're just going to end up being in an abusive, shitty relationship.
Yeah, the onus, you've done nothing wrong here, so the onus isn't on you to prove that you still love her. At no point in time during this episode would the implication that you no longer love her, that never happened. No. So it's not your responsibility to show to her that you still love her. It is her responsibility to acknowledge that what she did was shit and she needs to apologize, or understand that either hopefully on her own accord or through a very, very serious conversation that you have with her, being like, hey, look, I've put in the work. I've gone to therapy. This isn't something that, is something I can just move on from. It's not that simple. This is something I've been working on for a very long time. And there are very specific triggers. So maybe if you read a fucking synopsis, don't watch a movie with me that has a dramatic reenactment of how my last partner died.
You make a good point. I was going to joke about what monster reads the synopsis of a movie before watching it, because, but the question was too heavy, so I decided not to. But this actually leads to the very real possibility that they knew this was here and were like testing her or needling her with it or something, because it's like, I assume they know if, while this partner's in tears, they're able to figure out what's happening, right? So it's like to then have read the synopsis, it's like, oh, so you fully knew that was in here. So not only are you ignoring their trauma, you might well have just provoked it.
Yeah, it'd be like, knowing your partner went through some traumatic sexual abuse and then being like, hey, let's watch Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I know I read the synopsis and I know there's like a very graphic rape scene in it for like 13 minutes, but it's just like you should have the foresight to recognize being like unless she doesn't know how your partner died, but I assume that you might have brought it up at some point in time. So, we can cut some slack there. We can give the benefit of the doubt of being like, oh, you just know that his partner committed suicide and you didn't know the method. Fine. But they're like, it still comes down to the fact of being like, they watched something very traumatic and very visceral and brought them to a place that they weren't ready to confront again. And you need to recognize that. So as Nell said, it goes one of two ways. You get a very sincere apology or you bounce. And that apology would have had to be like the best apology ever for me to stay, I think.
And you deserve so much better. You deserve, at base level, a partner that cares about you. And getting upset when you're going through something so understandable and so painful and making it about like attacking you, and it's insane. That's absolutely awful. You don't deserve that. No one deserves that. Find a better partner. And for all the partners out there, be better. Don't be this person.
Yeah. At the end of the show, before we end it and wrap it all up for you, we like to jump on online dating platforms such as Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge and peruse online dating platforms to see what works and what doesn't work in an effort to make your online dating experience a little more enjoyable.
Okay, so how about this one? It's called F Buddy's Patreon.
Uh-huh.
Great name, right?
It's excellent.
So apparently they're offering 3 different tiers. Looks like one's something casual for $3, where you can support the show. They have something for $7 called Friends with Benefits, where you get bonus episodes. Whoa, that's a green flag if I've ever seen one. And a third one called Fuck Buddy, $13.50 a month, but it gets you not only the episodes and supports the show, it gets you priority list for the questions. Oh, sorry, I didn't scroll down far enough. There's another one called Sugar Parent. That one sounds really interesting. What are your thoughts?
I think it's great. And I think everyone should head on over to fbuddyspodcast.com, click the Patreon link, and maybe consider signing up for one of those excellent options.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, there's another thing where if they hit 25, they'll do a live show.
Ooh.
Also, I feel like we should start one where we get people in the running to make us release that erotica we have. Just tucked away in the snowbanks.
Yeah. Now, this has been a very thinly veiled plug for our Patreon. But imagine if there was a dating app where you could set tiers of being like, oh, $7 will get you could message me. You could send me a message.
That's OnlyFans.
I guess, but like OnlyFans has the idea of like it's a transaction in terms of like you're buying goods. This is a dating app. I understand that maybe this
sounds awful.
Yeah, no, I know. It'd be absolutely terrible. But I feel like if I made it and took a service fee, a little slice of the pie,
then eventually you could get Elon Musk to buy it, much like Twitter.
Hell yeah. Or I could buy Twitter from Elon Musk.
Are you ready for Julia?
Let's do it.
About me. After our meeting, your life will never be the same. I will bring new colors into your life. I can stand person who breaks their promises.
I think we could assume that they mean can't stand, but
hey, maybe they're just really cool with liars.
Maybe they just absolutely hate promises. This gives me strong murder vibes because anytime anyone says like, oh, I'll change your life, like the only way I assume you, a stranger on the internet, could change my life is by doing something terrible to me. Mm-hmm. And
like taking a limb, perhaps.
And by adding new color to my life, being the color red as my blood seeps out into the floor because you've stabbed me to death.
Yeah. Also, I will bring new colors into your life is just about the most boring sentence I've ever seen in my life. It's going to be... What are you going to give it?
I'm going to give it a 0.
Okay. You know what? Yeah, fuck it. I'm going to give it a 0 as well.
Are you ready for this? I think this is a Fuck Buddies first. And certainly, I think I have an audio clip from a dating profile. Because I don't know if you know this, but Hinge allows you to share, like, you can answer one question with an audio clip. And it's meant to be like, oh, you get a sense of their voice and you can be a little more charismatic and yada, yada. So this is I don't know if I have their name, and I don't know if I will because I'm already, outing them with a voice.
Now, I am expecting the most charismatic thing ever now that you've
Oh, hey,
pointed
let me
this out.
tell you, that's great.
Okay, so never have I ever put a girl in doggy style, aka bakas. Like, I've never done it. So, yo, if you're trying to be the first to take my doggy style / bakas virginity, you already know. Message me directly. Show me wild guan with the wild guan. Like, I'm down.
What is Bacchus?
I assume it is slang in,
Okay.
whatever culture
Yeah.
he's from.
Yeah. Okay. I just wasn't sure if I was missing something there.
Like, it might be like, like back shots. It might be like a slang of.
Yeah. What I love is that, like, I think he's trying to be all, like, sexy and, like, ooh, like, but, like, doggy style's so basic that this isn't exciting. This isn't like, oh, shit. It's just kind of like, wait, you've never done doggy style? Like, are you good? Have you never fucked?
And, like, it's also, like, being like, oh, hey, the one thing that you might be able to do for me is let me fuck you is a very, like, that's not a selling feature for women usually, you know what I mean? Of like being like, hey, I'm so inexperienced in this one sex thing. Let me do it to you.
Yeah.
Isn't exactly like a big hey yeah let's do it.
Yeah, I feel like it's much in the way that, like, I think men hope when they send out dick pics, they get the response that a titty pic would give them, where they'd be like, I'm horny, let's fuck, like, this is great.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's like, oh no. Yeah, that was wild. I'm gonna give that a 0 also.
I'm also giving this a 0. I will say that is from a good dear friend, Agent Golden Skull.
Hell yeah. Love the name, love the addition, and also just like these sound bites are great. I want more of them.
Yeah, I need to start listening. The only problem is, like, I can't save them.
How did they?
This was on an Instagram post.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's fair. Ready for Michelle? NSA, no dating, kissing, etc. in a relationship, so just a short-term thing, faced with hearts about it.
Sorry, did they say, what was the kissing thing?
NSA, no dating, kissing, etc. in a relationship, so just a short-term thing. What's NSA? No strings attached.
No strings attached, yeah.
So that's weird.
So, like, I get what they're coming from, but, like, again, kissing, why can't you kiss if you're hooking up?
Yeah.
That's, like, the best part of hooking up. I mean, not really, but, like, it's a very, like, I enjoy a good makeout. Making out is incredible. And if I couldn't kiss someone I was having sex with, I would feel so weird.
Yeah, I was with a girl once who at one point was like, I'm just not really into kissing. And the next time we had sex, that was like kind of in my mind. And like, she didn't go for it and then I didn't. And it sucked. It wasn't fun. And it's like, I don't understand it. So to me, that's weird. Also, like kissing, etc. It's like, what's the etc.?
Hand holding, eye contact, any other contact other than penis inside vagina.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like people, I think, can lend too much importance to things like, oh, I'm dating someone, you can't kiss me. Like that's emotional, but you can ram your dick in me. It's like, okay, I don't know. Just have fun. This sounds like it would be very bad sex.
I imagine it would be, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like, not being able to kiss during sex, I think, would automatically make any sex bad for me.
Yeah.
Unless the game was of, like, you know, oh, I can't kiss you, and, like, we're doing it at one time. Like, oh, your hands are tied also. But I also don't think I would enjoy that. So, yeah, it's bad.
Fuck it. If a kiss didn't happen for some reason, sure. But, like, just having it be a rule, it's just like, okay, this is
because,
weird.
like, what do I do? Do we just, like, do you just immediately start sucking my dick?
That's when you get well, you probably can't do that. She's in a relationship. I feel like that's when you get intense ick face. That's when you get the bulging eyes and the thing, because you have nothing to do but stare.
I don't even know if I could get going. I mean, I guess like like maybe hand job. Like, is that how we're foreplaying? Because like, yeah, you're right. They probably wouldn't do oral for not in a relationship. So it's like I wouldn't be able to go down on you. Like, can I finger you? It's bad. I'm giving this a 0 as well.
Yeah, let's do it. All zeros all day. Man, that doggy style thing's haunting me, though. That's just such not a cool move to do.
Such a bad move, man.
It's just so lame. Like,
okay, I feel like we need we need a ladder out of this hole we've dug. This is Kai. If you could make a bitch laugh and giggle, you can make her cheek clap and wiggle. Peace sign.
I have this one.
I loved it.
It's
I
very
thought-
fun.
I thought it was very good. It was one of the first profiles that I was actually like, heh. And that, I think, is kind of like the highest compliment, in my opinion. So this is getting a 10 from me.
It's funny. It's charming. It rhymes. It's sexy. It's new. Yeah, I'm giving it a 10. It's funny. I have that one as well. I'm just going from my list down. There's no picking and choosing here. So you're just going to get what comes to you, whether it be trash or not. This is Farah. Used to be a nihilist and a cynic and decided to fight my urges, ironically, by being on here. Someone's told me that I do a good job conveniently treading the line between insanity and charm.
Ugh.
Be educated, interesting, cultured, and chivalrous.
Is this a woman?
Yes.
This reads like a fucking like MySpace page that a 16-year-old would write.
Yep.
I'm charismatic and insane. No, you're not. You're not insane. And if you are, that's
It's
not
not.
something I want to balance up. I when I date someone, the amount of insane that I want is
0.
very, very little.
Yeah, also just like I'm a nihilist and a cynic, and now it's so ironic that I'm on Bumble. It's like, what is ironic about that?
Yeah, it's like it just reads and reeks of like someone had just found out what nihilism is, and they're like, this is my whole personality now.
Now, this person is 29, which is far too old for this.
Way too old.
And they also just be educated, interesting, cultured, and chivalrous. Like toxicity oozing out of every pore. There's a term in Ireland called the anti-crack, because like crack means fun. Anti-crack, like antichrist. She seems like the anti-crack. She seems like she's a black hole of fun. There
Yeah.
would be no banter.
Yeah, 100%. I would have accepted like 22 years old would have been the only age where I would have been like, all right, hey, it's still not acceptable, but I would have been like, I understand that you still think this is cool.
No,
But
18 wearing a My Chemical Romance hoodie and like,
yeah,
and even then I'd be like, you need to grow up. So 0.
0, yes. Now, okay, here's Tori. Bright social woman seeks stable girl summer. Looking for easy chemistry plus news and analysis I don't already get from my day to day. Let's meet for yoga in the park or snacks and drinks out. Kindness is a priority, but eventually I'll roast you. No one would call me anything but direct. 6'1", but you don't have to be.
Okay. Stable girl summer's funny.
Yeah, yes, I think that's very funny.
I like that they seem to want to do stuff. I like that they're aware of the hype thing, but like not weird about it. The looking for news they don't get from other sources seems like a weird thing to say.
See, I thought that at first too, and then I was like, you know what? I kind of like the idea of like being like, oh, I would love to like grab drinks with someone who's got a different perspective than me.
No, you probably don't though, because that different perspective is Bill Gates is killing us through a vaccine.
Right. But I think there are people who like focus on news and stuff that I don't really follow. You know what I mean? Like I would like to sit down and someone like if they had interesting things to say about a topic I generally don't follow, I think that'd be very interesting for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
especially
if she wants
on, like,
to hear about our Pathfinder games, great. Is that what she means? Wonderful. Otherwise, maybe a little weird. I don't know.
yeah.
But
I
overall, I think it's a pretty bright, nice, unique enough, kind profile that I'll give it like an 8.
Yeah. I think 8 is also a very good number for this.
Like it's good. There's like inklings of like something. I don't know. I'll hit you with this nameless person. A pro and a con of dating me. I'm serious and independent. I do not love sarcasm or being your source of entertainment.
Huh. I mean, it depends on like how literal they mean that of like, I don't want to be your, primary source. Like everything can't come from me. I respect that. But it sounds like you just aren't fun.
No, Dane. This is a really good prompt.
Wait, what?
This is a really good response.
Oh, I see. You're being sarcastic.
Yeah, it seems again anti-crack right here.
Yeah.
I give it like a 2.
Yeah.
Sarcasm's a weird thing to be upset about because it's like I don't know. It just seems strange.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't love it either. There's not a whole lot to talk about there, but like it's just not good. And I think that's the problem. But that's going to do us, friends. That is our show. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for spending the hour with us. On our end, hey, this episode was a nightmare to record, but we made it through.
It sucked so hard.
It was very, very, very difficult for us. We had to restart 3 times. It was a challenge, but we do it because we love you, and we feel the love from you, and that's why we do this. So thank you very much. It means the world to us. If you do want to support the show, as Niall mentioned earlier, fbuddiespodcast.com, hit the Patreon button. It'll bring you there. You can join anyway. At 25 Patrons, we will do a live show. And if you want to send in a question, fbuddiespodcast.com, click the contact form. We'll keep it anonymous. You can choose your agent name, and we'll answer it as soon as possible.
Thank you to everyone who is supporting us on the Patreon. We really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting us in other ways, such as, giving us reviews, sharing us, interacting with us on the old Instagram or Twitter. You guys are all the best. We got a good fucking crew here. Thank you, Josh Eagle and the Harvest Cities, for the song Paper Stars. Ready for a little bad sex writing?
I would love to hear some.
We got good old Frank Herbert back again with a little Dune. So the context for the scene is, I believe this person is running for her life.
Probably in a desert.
Yeah, probably. In the way genes occasionally do, her features copied those of a long-dead ancestor. Gently oval and with a generous mouth, eyes of alert awareness above a small nose. Her body had grown lanky from years of running, but it sent strong sexual signals to the males around her.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's a normal thing to say.
I don't think there's any sexual signal that doesn't get sent to me when someone is running for their life.
Mm-hmm.
Because presumably, if I'm also not running for my life, I could probably be helping.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Like chase or run?
I could help whatever she is running for her life from.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, if that's something that I'm just chilling and being
you're not going to solo a fucking sandworm, bro.
Well, all I'm saying is, if the sandworm is there, I should also be running and not fucking, ogling Zendaya.
Now, I will say this does give us the perfect come on at a gym. You go up to a girl, she's on a treadmill, and it's like, damn, girl, your body's grown lanky from years of running, but it's a strong sexual signal to me.
Yeah, hell yeah. You're oval as hell.
Did your genes occasionally copy a long dead ancestor?
Also, am I supposed to believe that these motherfuckers were wearing jeans in Dune?
I assume. Are you joking?
Oh, you mean jeans as in?
Yeah, like her gene. God.
I'm Dane Miller.
And I'm Niall Spade.
We've been your fuck buddies.